what I've got here is I've just got a clear container. And I have two of these. So I'm going to do this same thing twice and flank it on either side of this long pine table. So I've got all these little shells. I've got larger shells I've collected, different places I have visited or lived, and I've got them up here on the mantle right now. We'll probably steal from that to do some different things, but right now we're going to use these little shells, which I've got to be honest with you, the majority of these came from this Dollar Tree. They come in a little bag and you can buy them up, and I've bought them over the years and now have a nice little collection, and there really are some beautiful ones in here. So I'm going to take some of these. Got to be careful when you're using glass as far as not dropping things in. Kind of put your hand down in it. I use rocks a lot and I have to do the same thing. Make sure you're kind of setting them in there. And you're going to drop them here and there. And what I'm wanting to do at first is I'm wanting to get enough of them in there to be able to separate in the center where I can nestle my candle down in there. Now, you don't have to put your candle down right at the bottom, but it sure is easier to keep it balanced and to keep it from going from side to side when you've got them at the very bottom of your vessel. Then we're just going to fill these shells in all around. Don't worry about which ones you have in there and which ones you don't. You're not going to be able to see them very well at this point. And we can come back at the top and put little, your favorites are the ones that are maybe more colorful or have more texture, that type of thing. Now, another thing you can do as well is you can put all shells. You can put some sand in there, and then you can put your shells on top. Just the different colors and the richness of the shades. Here is, I want to show you, look at this. I don't know if you can see that close up. But there's just greens and browns, colors that I have forgotten, purples and pinks. You know, we're kind of used to, but the greens and the browns. Okay, we're getting towards the top. And so what I'm going to want to do, I don't care if it's even all the way around. In fact, I like it better when it's not. But this is where I might play a little bit with which ones I've got kind of on the top. Some of my favorite ones in there. There you go. A beautiful, easy centerpiece for a table with the theme of the beach or shells or the last week of summer. Okay, we're going to take this idea and go one step further. One thing I like to remind myself as well as everyone else is you can continue to create. You can continue to, when you have fun with something this simple, then all of a sudden you think, oh, and I can do this, and oh, I can do that. And you can get to a point where you're unhappy with what you've done. So that's why this, I'm very happy with this. But to think, oh, I could stick, succulents in there, or I could stick water in there and put flowers. I mean, there's all sorts of things we could do with this. But instead of that, we're just going to call this good. We're very happy here. And we're going to think, okay, what else do I need to do on this table? So right now I've got these old trays, these lacquer trays that were, actually they belong to the Henningtons. And just feel very blessed the things I have here at the house that actually belong to the family who owned it for, 70, 80 years. And I'm going to put it down on the table I'm going to set this in the center. Now this is where I could also use sand, but one thing we're going to do in these workshops is we're not going to worry about what we don't have. We can think about what we could do if we had something else, but I don't have any sand right now. When we were emptying out this garage, there were 3 bags of sand, but I used it all to fill in holes in my yard, not thinking about saving some for something like this. So I don't have any sand. I could put sand on here, which would be a neat touch, but instead I'm just going to take more of these shells and I'm just going to kind of loosely put them around here. I'm going to take some larger ones and add them here and there. And I may come up here and take a favorite or 2. And tuck them in here as well. You want to make sure when you're doing a table, if it's a buffet, just make sure it looks good from one side. Don't waste your time doing a lot in the back, unless you've got a mirror and you have to make sure at least any of your mechanics, maybe your floral foam or wires or something like that, can't be seen in the mirror. But in this case, this is going to be both sides, and so we want to make sure that we've got it looking good on both sides. So there you go. That's taken that look one step further. You could do this with just a plain plate. You could do it with your china, a plate from your china to pull in whatever table setting you're doing. Get a basic idea of how you can do something this simple, and then you make it your own by pulling your own things in. When we start collecting everything that we might use for a particular theme, I look at things, okay, shells, the ocean, sand, water, bubbles, fish. You start thinking of all the things that might be part of or would fit into that theme. So in this case, I've got this bubbled bowl. I have this upside down column that I'm going to set the bowl on. And then I'm going to think, okay, do I want just to fill this up with great shells, which I think that's probably what I'm going to do, or do I want to do something like, I thought pulling some glassware in would be great, but you want to make sure that it's going to not wobble or give you any trouble. I like that. I could do some plants. I could do succulents would be great in this with some shells stuck in. But I think what I'm going to do on this one is I think I'm going to try this. All right, so then we come here. And we're going to start filling it up with all these great shells. Make sure you get some of the different textures and colors. And then you can also come back with the little ones after you've got the big ones here and there and fill in. what you're wanting to do is just get your colors in there, get your texture. When your guests are at your table or at your celebration or event, conversations, it's always nice to have something that's a conversation starter. So even having the unusual, different, beautiful shells as people walk around before they're seated or even while they're at the table, it's nice for things to be visually interesting. Okay, there we go. So we got the second part down. We'll decide what kind of candles we want to use on here. What I may do is we may use the little bubble votives that again plays off of that bubble feeling in the bowl and the beach theme. Now I'm using these little votive holders that are in a bubble shape, and then I don't know if you can tell, but they have a little indentation as well. So that gives another feeling of kind of that under the sea bubble feeling. So I've got them, they're kind of mimicking the bubble center of this candle holder. And I may use these up on the mantle instead of here. But what I like to do is kind of start with some different things. Then if I decide there's too much going on or too much space on the table, at that point I can start taking them away and putting them either on end tables, buffets that are, you know, up against the wall, mantles, that type of thing. So this gives you a starting point to use things in different ways, experimenting, trying, playing with the stuff you've got. And again, I like to do this part of it the day before, sometimes even earlier if I'm not using flowers. You know, you can do it way ahead if you're not using flowers. So this is, again, the type of thing you can do early. And remember, it doesn't matter if you're having dinner for 12 or if you're having dinner for 2. We should always add these special things, and we should be using what we have, not just putting it in cupboards and then deciding after years and years of holding on to our mothers' or our grandmothers' things, or even the things we're picking up at thrift stores or estate sales, and then deciding we're not using it and it's just taking up space. Use what you've got. Look at it upside down, sideways, backwards. Look at it in different rooms of your home. If you know this is a pine table and I'm using tapered candles, it doesn't matter anymore what you're using when. So just as long as you're using it and as long as you're enjoying it. So okay, I think next I'm going to play with maybe some live flowers that we can use in this, and then we'll work on another part of the workshop.